Welcome to another episode of Demystifying Gay Porn. My name is IK Grande, and if you watch gay porn, I've definitely helped you get off. And so has my guest this week. My guest this week is a guy I've worked with once or twice before. I know definitely once when I went to Vegas this past January. He is an international porn star. He is a content creator. His name is Dillon Diaz. I'm very happy to have him here. How are you doing, Dillon?
I'm very good. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me. It's really good to see you again.
I think that I wanted to do a podcast with you since last year, the Gay VNs. After our scene, I had wanted to see if I can fit it in. It got so crazy there were so many people there. And I was like, we'll get to it when we will. And I figured maybe this year, and here we are.
I remember talking about the interview, and I'm glad that we're getting a chance to do it now. I actually just saw a clip on Twitter. I'm not sure it was from that shoot that we did, or was it from the shoot that I didn't know? I think it was that shoot.
Yeah. Okay. So the scene that you did was for my first feature for Treasure Island called Cedars. And it's basically about seedy motels. And I mean, granted, that one wasn't technically seedy.
That one's pretty nice.
Yeah, it was. But, the idea of just going to motel rooms and hotel rooms and how, we pass them on highways and stuff and we just think, God, that place looks shitty. But, for somebody in the world or at some point, that motel for an hour is like, amazing for them.
Yeah, we do pass them and we're like, who goes there? Like, how is this place staying in business? Who wants that?
And they do. So that's what I wanted to capture with that.
It looks really hot.
It was a lot of fun. I like Luca. Lucas was a new model that I had not worked with before, but I counted on you and Luca to pretty much show him the ropes and stuff. So tell me a little bit about, because you're a transplant. You're now living in Las Vegas, but you're originally from New York.
Yep, I'm a New York boy, born and raised Brooklyn. And recently, I guess about a year ago now, just over a year, I moved out to Vegas. I just wanted a change of scenery. I spent my entire life living in New York, and although I traveled, I hadn't lived anyplace else, and I always wanted to. I always wanted to see what life would be like, someplace else. And it's, there is life beyond New York, which is really nice to know. And it's a lot cheaper. The life outside of New York is a lot cheaper, a lot more affordable. People don't know that. Maybe they do know that. I don't know. But yeah, and one of the other reasons why I decided to move out here was to continue to focus on adult entertainment. There were a bit more opportunities out here for me for local boys, and so I decided I wanted to give this a little bit more energy and time. So I was like, all right, I'll move a little bit closer to the work, and it's been good.
A lot of studios have moved to Las Vegas as well.
Oh yeah, I mean between Las Vegas, LA, Palm Springs, it's pretty much all within driving distance for me, and it'll keep you busy.
How has sheltering in place been for you in Las Vegas, in a new area, and then also just the state of Nevada?
Okay, so at first it was pretty scary, and I think everyone, regardless of where you're located, it was pretty scary for all of us because we didn't exactly have a template for this. This hadn't really happened in our lifetimes. We didn't know how to handle this. We didn't know how bad it was going to get, or how long it was going to last. And so those first few weeks were pretty damn scary. And then, I don't know, there was a certain calm that happened, and it was like, all right, this isn't going to last forever. So let's try and use this time wisely. Maybe there's some sort of like internal cleanup that needs to happen, like get yourself ready for the next stage or the next phase or whatever you want to do with your life. Let's use this time for, not just panicking, but a little bit of reflection and improvement. And that's what I did. I had another, a friend / performer, a friend of mine who's also a performer, had just moved to Vegas. I think a week, not more than 2 weeks before everything was locked down. The industry was frozen. Any bookings we had were either postponed or canceled. And like, he was out here with like very little, like just what he moved with, which wasn't much. And so I had him stay with me for the first few months. So I wasn't alone, which is great. Because I think if I was alone during that time, it would have been a much different experience. So the two of us, and his name is Johnny Hill. He's my brother. We just sat at home watching Netflix pretty much all day long, and maybe every 2 or 3 days we'd go for a hike. That was one of the things that you can do in Nevada and still be, socially distanced. Is we have plenty of places to hike. They're all outdoors. It's beautiful. You can kind of just, relax a little bit and still be able to keep your distance from people.
So Johnny Hill is a performer as well.
Yes.
Did you guys quarantine? And by that, I mean, I know that a couple of people or a couple of models in the Las Vegas area were able to kind of make scenes for themselves for their fan sites because they were sheltering in place together.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely did that. We took advantage of that opportunity, and we did lots of solo work, but then we also did some duo scenes together. And then as time went by, studios started offering to buy content because they needed new content desperately to, give to their fans. So they said, okay, if you guys live together and you can record this and then send it to us, we'll pay you for it. And so we started doing that. It was like, we had to it turned everybody on their ass. It really did. And, you had to figure it out. And that's what we all did. We just figured it out and kept moving. But yeah, we monopolized on that.
Okay. And how is it now? Do you see things opening up? I know that there's cases spiking, but
yeah, Vegas. Well, from the things that I use, all I really need in life is a gym and a supermarket, and those have been pretty much. I think that the gyms opened back up in July. Was it maybe June or July? And from that point on, life felt normal for me. Like, I don't really go to the casinos. I'm not really into nightlife unless I'm working. So I didn't need that. Like, I really just needed to be able to go to the gym. And that kind of brought me back to a normal place. But I think in general, things are relatively open and normal out here. I mean, there's going to be social distancing. There's mask rules, and stuff like that. Cleaning rules. If you're at the gym, you want to make sure you clean up your equipment really well, which we should have been doing all along anyway, but especially now. So I feel like life is relatively normal in Vegas. Yeah.
And studio work, how is that? Is it operating? Is it business as usual?
It's back. We're back. I remember those first couple of weeks I was booked nonstop again because those studios were trying to get content for their memberships. And it was nonstop back to back bookings. And it was great, also exhausting, but great because, we were just tired of sitting at home. I wanted to get back to work. Obviously, the rules had changed a little bit. We're all required to test anyway. All of our STD testing has to be updated every 7 to 14 days. And if, you come back with anything, you have to take time off to get it fixed. And then once you've, gotten a good test, you can come back to work. But then they added in the COVID, obviously, because we want to make sure we're not spreading that amongst each other. And so basically with the testing and the mask rules, it's felt pretty safe. Like I've been going since July and I still haven't, knock on wood, haven't caught anything. We, even when when we're on set, pretty much the entire crew has to wear a mask. And even the actors are pretty much wearing a mask until we start filming. Once we start filming, we can take off our masks. And then afterwards, we just put them back on. And people have really been following those rules. I don't think, I don't think anyone really wants to see the industry shut down again. That was a dark, scary, cold time for us. And so we're doing pretty much whatever it is we need to make sure we can continue to work.
It was definitely a scary time, but I also think that the content creation aspect of it, like everybody can create their own content now, I feel like made it a little better for some people.
I'll tell you, I actually do not like filming content. I like to have a team. I like to walk into a studio and have professionals there who know how to light me, who know about angles, who've set up a beautiful, set for us, who've, write out a story or a scenario. I like a team. Doing it at home was not the same. Like it was one of those, it was actually a good opportunity for me to learn how to do it because I know a lot of performers are making really good money that way. But it was kind of something that I just ignored because I didn't like it. But during the time off, I was like, all right, well, I don't have much else to do. So let me figure out how to make this work. And so now I understand it better. I still don't love it, but I understand it better.
I absolutely agree with you. And I was going to ask you what you prefer to do. But you answered that. So studio as opposed to your own content, it's a lot of work. I don't think a lot of people realize how much work it really is to do, to have a camera up, to have your lights up, and then be the person that's going to be the main center of attention. It's,
Yeah, I mean, I really like the performance aspect of what I do. The sex is secondary. It's not. I don't know if I should say that, but it's almost secondary. I'm not doing this because I love sex. I'm doing it because enjoy the performance of it. I enjoy the creative process of making something that's appealing to people or hot to people that may inspire them to go jerk off, or maybe they'll learn something from it, or maybe it'll be like a release for them, so that way they can avoid other negative things. And so I enjoy that aspect of it. When I was doing it at home, it didn't have the same feeling. Like, I didn't feel like I was, I mean, I know it really is what you put into it. I know some people put a lot into it, and it is creative and beautiful and stunning to look at. But for me, I just got tired of looking at my living room. I was like, me jerking off in my living room, I was like, this is not doing it for me.
yeah. Yeah, no, I feel you. Your start was in go-go. You were a go-go dancer in the nightlife in New York. What was that like?
I'm a late bloomer. So it started, I want to say very late 30s, very, very late 30s. And it wasn't really my plan. I never thought that I would do that. Like I said earlier, I'm not a nightlife person. I don't like crowds. I don't like music.
Oh, okay. So
I'm a homebody. Like, there was no indication that this would be something that I would fall into and like. But I'll tell you how it started. I had a friend who used to go dance and wanted to get back into it, to make a little side income. And, being a makeup artist, which is what I did before, I knew a lot of like drag performers. And so I would ask them if they had any leads for him, like that they knew of some places where he could, apply and maybe dance and stuff like that. And so they gave me a bunch of leads, and I decided, well, why don't I check this out too? So I did. And I actually really liked it, oddly enough. It was a lot of fun. I got extra cardio. I was going almost like 5-6 nights a week. Like, wow. It was busy between New York, New Jersey, Long Island, then all the way down to Florida. Like, it was a busy schedule. So I got my cardio in. I was out having fun. Lots of validation. People are like giving you money. Like, you're great, so I'm going to put money in your underwear there, right there. And they might feel you up a little bit too, but they were giving me money, so I was like, it's okay. And while I was doing that, I met a lot of performers, a lot of, porn stars. They'll come in and do like guest spots or, whatever. And so I met them and met a few guys. And I was like, wow, he's really cool. He's normal. He's nice. They destroyed all of the images or stereotypes that I had in my head of what people who work in adult entertainment were like. And I started thinking, well, I mean, maybe I can do this. So I gave it a shot. I got my first booking and it went well. I got my second booking. I still liked it, and I just kind of kept going with it. It was never ever part of my plan, but I don't regret it. Like, it's been a great experience. I've learned a lot. And I think it's also been really empowering. I think it really depends on how you approach it. My 20-year-old self couldn't have done this. I wasn't ready. I definitely wasn't ready back then. But at, knocking at the door of 40, now I'm 43, but, just knocking at the door of 40, I was in a different place and I could handle it, better.
You said your 20-year-old self wouldn't have been able to handle this. And because you don't do drugs, because you're not into the nightlife and stuff, it's for a different reason. You think mentally, or because I've seen 20-year-olds in this industry, and I've spoken to some models that have started that early, and they go off the deep end because they get so much attention and so much stuff to them that they have a dispensable income that they can just do whatever they want with and crash and burn.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, when you say that in your 20s you weren't ready for it, was it a mental thing, or like a adult, like a growth thing, or?
It was definitely a matter of growth and, having a mind that was ready for it. I wasn't confident. I wouldn't have been able to take off my clothes in front of people, have sex, and project the image of someone who's like totally like sexy and comfortable with their sexiness. Like I wasn't there yet. I wasn't ready. I didn't have that confidence. And then, I don't think that I would have, even back then, I don't think that I would have fallen into the whole, partying hard life. The whole drug scene is never really appealed to me. But you do see it a lot. I see young people who are in the industry, and obviously the industry wants young people. Like the youth is very sexy. So they always want the newest and the youngest guy. And, I've seen a lot of them do, grow older and do really well for themselves. They go through their different stages, but they kind of find their way along the way. And then there's some others who are like, oh gosh, I hope you make it, because right now you don't look like you're doing too good. And I think while it's a lot of fun and it's a great industry to be part of, it doesn't necessarily give you the most realistic, like, it's not a realistic life. Like it's going to end eventually. That career will end eventually, and then you're going to have to find another way to support yourself. And here, like, we can work, 2, 3 days a week and be able to support ourselves just fine. Any other job, you need to work 5, 6 days a week to be able to support yourself. And so there's like unrealistic expectation of how, the works. I don't know how to say it, but like the workload. You've got to find a way to transition into something else that's going to be able to help you stay living at the level that you've gotten accustomed to.
Or have saved. And I think a lot of times, a lot of people don't save. A lot of people don't, especially when you're young. I didn't know, like, it's very, very hard.
I still struggle with that. Believe me.
I feel the same way. Like now that I have a savings account, and the fact that it has a little money in it, I'm like, oh, cool. Like that's awesome.
That's great. You're doing better than me. I have a jar over in the corner.
I love it.
I take it to the Coinstar at the supermarket, and
Coinstar's amazing. I used to go to that thing like every fall and spring. I would have like the change that I would have in either my glove compartment or whatever. I would take it and I'd put it out. It's like $30, $40.
Yeah, that's like half a tank of gas.
So, okay, so you started, and this is not an uncommon thing, I think, starting a career in porn in your mid-30s to early 40s.
Late 30s, actually. It's like 38, 39.
Yeah, it's a market because a lot of times, what you just said, the lifespan, if for the lifespan of a model, I would say, well, I think it's a little longer in gay porn. Because I watch a lot of straight porn. I see models, like female models, and it's unfortunate, but I see them, and they probably have a lifespan of 3 to 4 years, if that. And some of them just come in and out and stuff. And same thing for gay models too. But I feel like a good lifespan is about what, 3 to 5 years. And then
I think that's about what they say, but I've seen people do longer than that. I think it's a choice. I think a lot of people like just burn out or just for whatever reason they just can't do it anymore. And that's fine. It worked for them for that period of time and then they move on. But there are a couple of people that, and I'm really excited because I feel like I'm going to be one of those people that hangs on for a while. I've seen people able to transition and continue and continue to work.
I look at models that I've known that started in 2008 that are still doing it, and you're absolutely right. They go from their mid-30s to being like daddy-ish, and then eventually, or big brother-ish, and then eventually daddy-ish. And there's definitely a market for everybody and anybody to get off on you, off of. You know what I mean? Like you're going to be attractive to a lot of people at certain different times of your life. And I think that's awesome.
It all comes down to your desire to do it. If you want to do it, there is most likely someone who wants to see you do it.
Yeah, you got a lot of mail coming in. There was a period in the middle of the summer where we kind of ran into a little bit of cancel culture, right? There was some models or certain things happening with race at the height of what was going on in the country. We were dealing in the porn industry with people that have said stuff regarding race and stuff. Now you're Latino,
yes,
right?
Mm-hmm.
What has race been like for you? Do you see it when you started in the porn industry? Did you see it be something that was in your face, or was it just something in the background?
Very much in my face. Like of all the fields that I've worked in, I never experienced or saw racism as much as I did when I got into adult entertainment. And it was also in dancing. So I started there first, and then it followed and it carried on into the porn as well. Um, yeah, I've worked in corporate America, finance, fitness, beauty, fashion, and racism is everywhere. But I didn't feel it as much as I did getting into the adult entertainment. It just felt like the white guys were valued more. Mm. Like dancing at the club, people just seemed more excited about them. They made a lot more money generally. It looks like they made a lot more money, and they didn't really have to put a lot into it. Okay. They didn't necessarily have to have the best moves or the best personality or coordinate their outfits. They could be wearing underwear from, H&M. Meanwhile, I'm, trying to get all the newest Andrew Christians, Um, and so that's when I noticed it first. And, I had a friend who was in it with me. I remember the guy that I was getting all of these leads for to begin with. I think he'd mentioned it to me before, but I didn't necessarily believe him, I guess. And then when I saw it with my own eyes, I'd be on the phone like, wow, I see what you're talking about. This is crazy. And then there were a couple of times where we actually worked together and we would just look at each other like, damn. And then it also, in working in adult entertainment, I found that, I think I have done pretty well for myself. Like even with the imbalances that exist, I'm still booked pretty regularly. And there's probably, a few reasons for that. But you do still see a difference between um, the number of bookings, the number of people of color that are being booked. And if you're able to look a little bit deeper, you might start to see a difference in the pay rates between people of color. And it's not so hard to see the types of scripts that people of color are given. And when, everything shut down, pretty much the world shut down, that kind of it started a lot of things. It was kind of scary to get onto Twitter because you didn't know who was getting called out for what. And you were like, well, am I up this time or somebody can call me out for something? And it was a harsh time. And it just kind of became, like a time of reckoning for the world, but also within our industry, people were called out for their shit, actual, individual performers, studios, like everyone was being called out on their shit. And there are like negative aspects to that, but then there are also some good aspects to that. And if you can kind of take the criticism constructively to improve, so that way people don't have to come for you again, then that's a good thing. But, a lot of people would just turn it into back and forths, and it was ugly. It was unproductive.
So that leads me to a couple of different questions. Because I saw it too, and I know it's there. And, last year was, I think, the first year that the gay VNs started allowing bareback porn into. If it wasn't last year, it was the year before, and I actually think it was the year before. First time they allowed them to be entered or to have any bareback studio enter any of their projects. I had worked for Rafa Club from 2007 to 2019, and 2008 or 9, we were banned. Us and Treasure Island and every other studio that did bareback, we were banned from being in any award ceremony because of the fact that it was bareback porn. People started loosening up in 2013, but people that were animately against studios that were animately against people working in bareback are now barebacking like there's no tomorrow. Like it's interesting. And the only reason why I bring that up is because it's bareback for profit. Now, do you think race is for profit in the industry?
That's an interesting question. I think to some degree, yes. There are definitely some studios who are starting to hire more men of color these days because it's the socially conscious thing to do. It's the in thing to do, but it doesn't necessarily feel genuine. There are places where I've been booked where it does feel totally genuine and normal, and racist doesn't feel like it's an issue. Like we're all there to do a job, and that's it. It's not like, well, I'm hiring you because you're a man of color, and I need someone of color in my videos to say, to prove that I'm with the fight. And then there are the ones who are strategically picking people, saying, okay, well, if I got to, then let me have you, so that way it looks like I'm okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think people are definitely doing it strategically. But you had to, even with that, you have to say, well, at least there's representation now, because it wasn't there. It may not have been there before, And one of the things that I've been experiencing, it's just like, racism is a very layered problem. I'm Puerto Rican. I am, I guess middle complexion, not light, not dark, middle. And most of the time people just assume that I'm Black, which is fine. I don't really care. Like, I'm sure if you go down my family line, there is some Black blood.
Yeah, we got Afro Latino, right?
Yeah, that's like, it's part. So it's not like, I'm not like shocked or offended when someone assumes that I'm Black. I'm like, yeah, fine. Yeah, I'm Black. And I was raised in Brooklyn, in low income neighborhoods. The Black and Puerto Rican people were like one. We had the same experience for the most part, But what I've noticed is that, it's the studios that are trying to say that they're part of it are hiring men that are very Black. Like, they don't want there to be any mistake about it. Like, we want a Black man to make sure that we hire men of color. So I'm still out. But if you're a Black man, you're good. And for a little while, I had feelings about that too. But then I was like, you know what? Progress is progress. At least we've got some representation in there. I'm glad that these guys are getting somewhere. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. Kick the door open for the rest of us. We'll all follow you later.
Well, funny that you said that, because I was going to ask you another question that I had was, as a Latino, you are kind of in the middle of everything. And I feel like even in society right now, when the whole George Floyd thing and everything was going on, I was curious, where are the Latinos in this situation? And I don't think that I did see a good representation. I don't think they were sitting it out, but I just feel like it's like a conversation that Caucasian people or white people are having, and a conversation Black people are having, or an argument, and we're kind of just sitting there like, what's going on? Because we can go either way. If you looked at it just based on color, I feel like we make people comfortable.
Yeah, I kind of feel like from the beginning of time, the argument has always been Black and white. And there's so much in between. And so if you weren't either Black or white, you had to pick your side. That gets a little complicated. I hate having to put that, use labels and stuff like that. I feel like at this point, we're all human. We're sharing the same place. And at this point, we need to figure out how to live together and work together, But I also got comfortable with using, just recently, I got more comfortable with just using the term person of color or people of color, because it's a way to be included in the conversation,
Absolutely. I agree with you. I am unmistakably and fully Latino. Like I identify with it. My name is IK Grande. A lot of people don't know that. I always have to. A lot of people confuse it with IQ Grande, and I would never do something that brazen. It's IK Grande, which translates to "Oh, that's big" or "Oh, how big," because I thought it was fun. And when I did it, it was 2007. I didn't really see a lot of Latin people in porn, at least behind the scenes. I know they're there, but I wanted to make it something fully Latin, like full out, like you can't deny. Unfortunately, I chose something that when people say it out loud, they're like, what does that mean? What, how? But, yeah, I feel you. I try my hardest to identify, when it comes to stuff.
It's funny that you say that, because that's how I chose my name, how I chose my stage name when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to be called, because nobody uses their real name. Or most people don't use their real name. A couple of people do. But when I was trying to figure out what I wanted my name to be, a couple of the options were a little bit more racially ambiguous. Like you couldn't really tell just by the name what I was. And then I made a very clear decision that I wanted my name to be very descriptive. I wanted you to be able to look at that name and know who was going to be walking in your door, where I was from, what I identified as. And so, I came up with Dillon Diaz. Um, and that was intentional. I wanted to represent. I wanted everyone to know this is what you're going to get. This is who I am. You know?
No, I think that's amazing. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. But there was something that you touched on that I wanted to come back to. You were saying that at that time there weren't a whole lot of Hispanic people or Latino people in the porn business, in the porn industry, and I kind of feel like, well, in front of the camera, sure, there's a little bit of everything in front of the camera, whether regardless of whether we're being treated and paid fairly, we're there. But those are the things that are changing, I believe. But behind the camera, the studios, the crews, the offices that run this business, they're still very, very, very white. And I have absolutely nothing against white people. Really, I don't.
Neither do I.
But I just feel like, where is the diversity? Like, people of color don't want to do this, or are they just being rejected? Like, what's going on here?
That's interesting. I have not, again, like you, I've seen or I've heard a good amount of people who are behind the scenes, be it cameraman positions, I'm not sure how many directors there are out there. I'm not sure how many producers. But yeah, I feel the same way. There were times, and it's fooling around. I don't take it in a bad way, but there were times where we would be in the office and people would say shit that, I thought was funny, but looking back at it, I'd be like, dude, you'd be in such a problem legally if I said something about this. And it happened more often than not. But you kind of have that camaraderie. You're thinking about the work and stuff. I don't think that I was betraying anybody by not speaking out or anything, but it's there.
Like, being from New York, the melting pot, we're used to being around all kinds of people. And like, in my, my private life, my dating life, if you look at my history, I've dated all kinds of people. And I find all kinds of people like physically attractive. So when I look at porn, I want to see a little bit of everything. It's more exciting to me. I mean, some people have their preferences. Yeah. That's another question that we have to like figure out. People have preferences. When I go to Chipotle, I might have the brown rice instead of the white rice. Mm-hmm. And that's just a preference, and it doesn't hurt anybody. But when it comes to porn, well, then what? Like, you might have a preference for one thing. Is that okay? Is that not okay? Like, or is it okay? But you have to think about how it's affecting. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it is. It's very complicated.
There are guys who can talk about it, and they're so like, right on with it. Like, they're right on with it. I'm not right on. Like, I'm trying to learn. I feel like I'm still trying to learn.
I know I am taking up a lot of your time, but I'm having such a good time. I hope you are too.
I'm having a good time too. Don't worry about it.
What so far in your career, what's been a highlight? Like, what's been one of the best shoots that you've been on, or the best experiences that you were like, wow, this is my life. Like, this is what I get to do.
There have been a few of those moments, honestly. I've been pretty lucky. I've worked with some really good crews and have been, given some really interesting scripts. And some of the highlights, working with Shishi LaRue has been one of the highlights. And that my second booking was with Shishi. Mm-hmm. And she's been so supportive of my career, so helpful. And she's also been a friend and like a mentor. It's been like making that connection, making that friend was a huge thing for my career. Like, and especially since it happened so early on, I'm really grateful for it. Like, I think it was perfect. I needed that. I needed kind of that presence to make me feel secure and safe and comfortable enough to continue on in this business. Some of the other interesting, things I've done. Okay, so here I identify pretty well. I before working in adult entertainment, in my personal sex life, I identified as gay. But working in adult entertainment, I had the opportunity to interact with women in trans porn and cis women in like bisexual scenes. And I learned that I actually really like sex with women. So now I try not to use the label anymore. I'm more fluid or pan. Um, um, I mean, I think that in terms of relationships in like my personal life, I think I still want a man. I think I'm still more drawn. I feel more comfortable or whatever um, with a man. But in terms of sex, women are amazing. And so I got to learn that.
I did see that. I did. I think I was on AEBN one day just checking out some movies and stuff, and I did see that you had done some bi porn. I think you did a scene with Mason Lear and uh, a female performer.
I think that was, I believe that was Lydia Black.
Okay, and yeah, I was like, oh, okay, and always interesting to me too. I grew up watching straight porn because my father didn't have gay porn hidden in his closet.
Yeah, straight watched straight porn.
What's something that you want to work on? You've done gay porn, you've done bisexual, bi porn, um, MTF. Have you done FTM?
Female to male. I have one scene that I have. It was a trade, a content trade, and I did it a few months back, but I haven't edited it yet, just because I'm procrastinating. I don't really like that side of it. I don't like the technical stuff. But yes, I do have one to post, and it was great. And I would love to do more of that. I really love the bi stuff. I like variety. Like I'm verse, and I also just like the variety of people. So the bi is fun because it satisfies the need, the desire to be with a man, and also the desire to be with a woman, all in one. It's a lot of fun. So I definitely like to do more of that in terms of performance. But I also want to get a little bit behind the scenes, slowly start to move behind the scenes. I want to get into directing. I've already done some writing, and I think the next step is to start directing as well. Because I feel like like we touched on earlier, there's not a lot of people of color running the business of porn. And so I kind of want to venture into that and add some diversity to that area.
Yeah.
I want to put in a slightly different perspective.
I think that's a good progression for not all models. I don't think every model is cut out to do it. But if you already are thinking about it, that means you're halfway there. Like you know that you would want to do something like that. Not a lot of models that I speak to say that. So yeah, if you already have that in mind, or you can think visually of stuff that you want to do that you've written, that's amazing. I would absolutely look forward to seeing what you can come up with.
There's definitely going to be a learning curve because I don't really have any education or experience with it other than what I've seen on set while I was the performer. But from what I've heard from people who have done it, who have made that transition from performer to director, is that you're never going to feel like you're prepared. You just do it. You get a project and you figure out how to make it work, and you learn from your mistakes, and you continue learning and growing and doing better and better work. And that kind of applies to pretty much anything that you do in life.
Yeah.
First time you do it, it might not be great.
And also, you would have the know-how of being a model and in front of the camera. So you kind of, you get an idea of what the model might be thinking, or what, in certain situations. And that's always very important, because it's one thing to sit in a corner and bark orders at somebody, fuck him this way or fuck him that way or whatever. But it's another thing to be like, okay, well, this person probably needs everybody to leave the room for 10 minutes so that they can concentrate, or, so that's, I think, very important and very, needed.
Well, that's one of the roles that I've taken on as a performer now. Like when I'm working with someone and I feel I'm very empathetic, and I can kind of feel what everybody in the room is like. If I look at them for a few seconds, I can kind of figure out, oh gosh, he needs a break, or he's stressed out, or this is not comfortable. Like I can kind of figure it out and try to do what I can to help them. That's something that I do naturally. But if that's something that's going to help me as a director, then great. Thank you for sharing that.
That's very nice. No, it's good. It's good to gauge what the other person you're about to be inside of, or is going to be inside of you, is thinking and feeling. Yeah. That's really, really cool. What's the best advice that you can give people that are like, oh, well, I kind of think that I can be a porn star, or maybe I want to do this, or I could use money. maybe this is a good idea. What's the best advice you can give somebody that would want to get into the adult entertainment industry?
Just try it. Just do it. There's a lot of they're always looking. If you want to do like studio porn, they're always looking for the new person. So it's not necessarily difficult to get in. Obviously, you have to be in good shape, and you have to,
I'm here.
Oh, sorry, Siri for some reason. Jeez.
Sorry about that. She heard you.
Comfortable. She talk. Okay. So I had a Siri problem. Well, okay, I'll come back and answer that. But I had a Siri problem. I was in a car with my friends, and we were having a conversation, and it was kind of an emotional conversation. I think I was starting to cry. I was getting upset about something, and then I asked a question. It's like, why does it have to be? And then Siri chimed in and says, I don't have the answer to that right now. And I'm like, Siri, no one was talking to you. Like, no one said, hey, Siri. Like no one said anything that sounded like Siri. But she says, I don't have the question to that right now. Like, mind your business. So after that, I turned off that feature, like the Hey Siri feature.
Yeah,
I turned off that feature. I did not want my phone listening to me at random times and like chiming in. What was the question?
The question in a briefer sense that I do, because I tend to go all over the place sometimes. But the best advice as a performer, the best advice that you can give a performer that's thinking about getting into it, for the good or bad reasons, like.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So like I was saying, that the producers are always looking for new talent, and so if you want to do studio porn, there's definitely a way in for you. Definitely a way in for you. If you just want to try it out on your own terms without necessarily having to perform or be approved by anyone or have to perform in front of a crew and stuff like that, you can always do it on your own and then like self-produce and just put it out on like places like Just for Fans or OnlyFans, or like test it out on Twitter or whatever. Like, you can definitely give it a shot and see where it goes for you. I say, if you're curious about it, go ahead and try it, because it's most likely going to be, I mean, everyone's experience is different, but it's most likely going to be different than what you expected it to be. It's most likely not going to be as stressful or as uncomfortable as you're making it out to be in your head. Just give it a shot. And then don't take it too seriously. If you decide to go forward with it, have fun with it. It's don't get stressed out. Don't turn it into one of those high stress 40-hour-a-week jobs. I mean, you can easily spend that much time a week working on it, besides the performance, like promoting it and editing it and doing all of the things that need to be done to make it available for people to see. But don't make it stressful. Just have fun with it. I feel like that's the biggest thing. Just have fun with it. Yeah. It's porn. It's freaking porn. Yeah. It's supposed to be pleasurable for the people watching it, but also for the people making.
Mm-hmm. Amen. That's awesome. Oh boy. I can go on forever. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'll leave this for next time, but I know that you have like a shiny clothes fetish or a shoe fetish or something. I know you do,
because you pointed out my shirt once. And I'm like,
oh, okay.
Wait, was it shiny or was it see-through? Because I like shiny and I also like see-through.
I think it was shiny. Okay. Because it was last minute. I think I had it shipped to me because I wasn't planning on going to the Gay Vienna Awards. But I changed my flight, and I had this shirt shipped to me, and it was, granted, I even wanted to like walk in and out without anybody noticing, but how you're not going to notice a fucking shiny shirt?
It's hard to not notice you. I remember seeing you out of the corner of my eye, and I think I noticed the shirt first. And then I was like, oh wait, I know the guy who's wearing that shirt.
And you mentioned it in an email, so that's why I was like, oh, okay, so he noticed that, and then you wore shiny sneakers to the shoot that we were at.
The gold ones, or the silver, gold and silver. So yes.
And they were beautiful, and I was like, huh, okay. So after those two things, I was like, okay, so he definitely has some kind of like fetish going on there. But but we can leave that for next time, which I'd love to. I'd absolutely love to have you on. I've only worked with you a couple of times. I've had a couple of interactions with you. You're a treasure. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not very easy to, I don't want to say that and offend a lot of models that I do know, but like for like I said, the amount of interaction that we've had, I'm very comfortable. I don't know if it's the Latin thing. I don't know if I feel like, we shot one scene together. I can't wait to shoot more. But I feel like I know you very well, so so I appreciate it.
And the feeling is mutual. Like I enjoy working and talking with you, and I definitely would love to come back and do some more.
Yeah.
Dillon Diaz, where do people find you? Listeners that don't know, I'm sure everybody knows who you are, but if there are listeners that are new and they're interested in our conversation and they want to know who you are or buy your stuff or just see more of you, where do they find you?
The hub would be go to Twitter first, and my profile there is Dillon Diaz 11. And you'll have links to pretty much my Just for Fans and my Instagram there. Or if you want to speak directly to me and ask me a question on where you can find certain videos, I will respond and tell you where to find it. So yeah, I'd say the easiest thing is just go to Dillon Diaz 11, the number 11, one word, no spaces, on Twitter, and talk to me there.
Sweet. Guys, if you like these interviews and you like listening to models and just, having a good all-out conversation, you know that we're available on every podcast directory. It's Demystifying Gay Porn. We're available on YouTube, so you can watch and see the interaction with the models with clothes on. Because a lot of times, yeah, I know. I got a peek. That was great.
You've been watching Demystifying Gay Porn. I am your host, Ike Grande. Demystifying Gay Porn is available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. Demystifying Gay Porn is on X, Instagram, Facebook, Telegram. And if you like what you're watching or listening to and want to be a part of the creative process, head over to patreon.com/demystifying gay porn, where you can help support this audiovisual podcast and YouTube channel, and I can continue making content like you've just enjoyed. Once again, this is Demystifying Gay Porn. My name is Ike Grande, and if you watch gay porn, I've definitely helped you get off. Cheers.